Welcome to Mafia, the Old Country, a game where you rise to the criminal underworld by lifting boxes, cleaning up horse waste, and occasionally stabbing union reps in the name of family honour. It's a heartwarming tale about loyalty, betrayal, and what happens when you give a man with no qualifications access to firearms and a wine delivery route. Our journey begins in a charming little place called Tremore. I play as Enzo, a man with no money, no prospects, and no visible understanding of workplace safety. I'm joined by my friend, who's cheerful, optimistic, and based on how these games usually go, statistically doomed. We explore the tunnels together, chatting about life, death, and probably black lung. Eventually, we stumble across the rest of the workforce, and our supervisor, Sergeant Scarface. You'll see why he's called Sergeant Scarface in a second. Scarface is the kind of man who gets promoted, not because he's competent, but because no one wanted to make eye contact with him during staff meetings. He's harassing a worker for not carrying enough baskets, which is fair, because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that bullying is a key part of workplace productivity. We then proceed to work overtime with zero extra pay, which actually is probably the most criminal thing that we do in this video. I know what you're thinking. How is he carrying that bucket like that? And to be honest, I don't even know myself. There is no need to arrest this guy for mafia crimes. Just the way he carries that basket is criminal enough. As it turns out, they have no food left. We decide to take matters into our own hands. There's a locked storeroom nearby, and we're very hungry, and only slightly ethical. To decide who goes first, we settle it like mature adults, with a game of rock, paper, scissors. My friend, for reasons only known to him and possibly a head injury, chooses shoot, which isn't even a real option, but I respect the confidence. Technically I win, but morally, he just outplayed me. I then proceed to steal the bread from the incredibly secure facility. Oh, wait, I could have just climbed right through this window. Maybe next time. Just as we're settling in to enjoy our crime snacks, people start shouting. Some workers never came back from their shift, which is worrying because there are only two things that happen in a mine, working or dying. We're sent in to check it out, because when something dangerous happens, management always sends the guys with no weapons and zero emotional stability. We find them. They're dead. All of them. And before we can do anything useful or say something profound, the mine begins to collapse. My friend and I start running. Not walking briskly, running. For our lives. Through fire, falling rocks, and what's probably several health code violations. We finally make it to the exit. Fresh air, daylight, hope. But just before my friend steps out, he stops. Why? Because he forgot his purse. Yes, his purse. Not his wife, not his child. A little leather bag full of sentimental nonsense and probably 3 lira. It's sad, tragic, and completely expected. I cope with this grief the only way I know how. Blaming someone else. I blame Scarface. Whether or not it's actually his fault doesn't matter, because at this point, I need to stab something just to feel something. So I challenge him to a knife fight, as one does in any rational workplace disagreement.
I thought I was dead because of you.
Steel clashes, blood spilled. HR would not approve.
You wanted to fight.
Oop. That's a lot of damage.
A lot of fighting you over a pile of bombs, huh?
I don't run gracefully, I trip and slide down the hill. It's not heroic, it's not elegant, but it's technically an escape, and at this point, I'll take it. I climb on a horse, which is impressive, considering I've just fallen down a literal mountain and possibly died 5 minutes ago. I then ride into the hills, away from the fire, away from Scarface, away from the corpse of my friend who died over a purse. I wake up in a barn, surrounded by men, which is always a strong start to the day. Turns out Sergeant Scarface, a man whose personality is somehow more unattractive than his face after our duel, has tracked me down and for some reason wants to kill him. I don't think I did too much to it. So I decided to engage stealth mode, which mostly involves crouching and praying that nobody notices me crawling around like a Temu ninja. Surprisingly though, it does work until it doesn't. Yes, I do get caught once or twice, but in my defense, they had eyes and functioning brains. Totally unfair. After knocking out a few of Scarface's cousins and stealing a couple of Frodo frogs from people's pockets, I know, criminal, right? I managed to stick my way into the horse stable.
No more running.
Just when things are looking up, Scarface shows up again. Obviously just trying to aura farm and wants to give us villain monologue. But then, plot twist, we've actually wandered into Don Teresi's turf. Now, normally walking into a mob boss's territory would be considered a bad life decision. But Enzo's tired, and he's got a pretty cool outfit on. The Don.
Can
This
you
is
work?
literally why he's the Don. Not as a minor.
Yes.
So now, after escaping Sergeant Scarface and riding a horse like a budget cowboy, I've now been recruited by the Mafia. But not as a hitman, not as an enforcer, but as a delivery man. My first task is lifting boxes. No idea what's in them. Probably weapons, possibly body parts, or maybe just some expired pasta sauce. I don't ask questions. I just lift things and put them over there. Then it's off to the stables, where I'm trusted with the prestigious job of shoveling horse crap. It's nice to feel valued. I always dreamed of working in organised crime. I just didn't think it would involve this much feces. Well, non-human feces. Just as I begin contemplating my life choices and whether it's too late to become an accountant, she walks in. She gives me a look, not just a normal look, but that look, the kind that says, "You're clearly beneath me socially, hygienically, and legally." But I'm really into it. Naturally, I respond with my usual charm, standing perfectly still, blinking too much, and internally panicking. Remember, gentlemen, always look your best when cleaning up manure. You never know when love, or at least a confusing crush, might walk through the door. She leaves as quickly as she arrived, as another statistic of females who leave feeling dissatisfied after talking to me. Chapter 2 begins with a new friend, Luca, telling me we've got jobs to do, which is Mafia code for things that will absolutely get you arrested if anyone had the guts to report them. Our task? Escort some wine deliveries to the countryside, because apparently the Mafia dabbles in logistics now. I didn't join organised crime to be a delivery boy, but I guess I didn't have much of a choice in joining anyway. So I was supposed to be delivering wine. A simple job, really. But instead, I somehow find myself walking in circles like a confused toddler trying to find his mum at the supermarket. Just a note, guys, if you ever find yourself walking in circles, just own it. Pretend it's a tactical perimeter check, or just blame the GPS, even if it is 1904. It is now becoming clear that I'm being accepted into the Mafia family, as I've now been told to pick out and choose a knife. I mean, nothing screams we are boys like having a knife fight with real blades when teaching. I mean, at least we have a similar experience. Luca has worked years in the Mafia as a right-hand man to the Don, and I've worked years as an underground mine and had one fight where the damage was a nick to the face. I am surprised that Luca did take this fight. After killing Luca, I quickly escape on my horse. Okay, that's not true, but we did run into town to attend an event. This is perfect for Enzo, who's been working flat out for months without rest. He can finally enjoy watching a horse race and unwind. Never mind. Turns out the rider was drinking the night before. I know that feeling. And cannot race. So logically, the next person in the saddle is the delivery boy. Typically, a promotion like this comes with a pay rise, but I'm unsure how to approach that conversation. Maybe I'll speak with HR. For reasons still unclear to me and my therapist, I've now entered into a horse race, because nothing says rising Mafia associate like competitive equestrianism. Right out of the gate, I embrace the time-honoured tradition of winning by being an absolute menace. Instead of focusing on speed, I dedicate myself to the noble art of pushing other riders directly into walls. They don't fall off, no ragdoll physics, no dramatic wipeouts, just solid bank against the wall followed by a minor drop of morale and velocity. Apparently, the developers didn't expect players to use such sociopathic tactics on horseback. So instead of a glorious crash, the other riders just politely bounced off. I know what you're thinking. It's cheating. I mean, I'm a part of the Mafia. It was always bound to happen. Against all odds and every principle of good sportsmanship, I win the race. The crowd goes wild. Or maybe they're booing. Hard to tell over the sound of me being amazing. After the sweet taste of victory, I'm rewarded with being allowed to deliver wine for the mob. On the way, I bump into Isabella, the Don's daughter, again. She appears out of nowhere, like she's been tracking my movements, or conveniently appears whenever I smell vaguely of horse sweat and poor decision making. We walk together. I carry the wine, she carries the vibe. It's almost romantic, in a you're technically still a mob errand boy kind of way. Out of nowhere, this guy steps in front of us. Looks familiar. Turns out he used to work for Sergeant Scarface. So you know, he's not here for a drink and a handshake. He says something vague and threatening, like all good henchmen do. Because subtlety isn't in the vocabulary, he knocks the wine straight out of my hands. And just like that, the man declares war on me, the Don's daughter, and the entire crate of vintage red. So now I'm in the middle of town, locked in a knife fight with a Scarface reject, trying not to get stabbed in front of the woman who once watched me shovel horse crap. We go back and forth. Him with rage, me with blind panic. No one really wins. It's less of a duel and more of an aggressive dance between two emotionally damaged men. Luca shows up. He watches the whole thing. Me bleeding, Isabella clearly confused, and the wine tragically soaking into the pavement. But instead of ratting me out to her father, the literal Mafia Don, Luca says nothing. Just gives me a nod that says, I saw what happened. I saw you protect her. You're still an idiot, but a brave one. So, I didn't deliver the wine, I didn't win the duel, but I did earn a small, quiet moment of respect from a man who could easily have me killed before the night is dark. That's what I call character growth. Chapter 3. I receive a letter from Isabella saying how manly I look taking down that big burly man, and that I should see her in the garden, which is weird because I'm as charming as a sack of wet potatoes. I approach her in the garden and I don't say a word, because when you're me, silence is the only safe option. I'm basically the human embodiment of a nervous shrug. I let her know I have zero family and no career prospects. She falls in love with me. So I tell her that I have work to do, as I am still her father's grunt. We meet Cesare, my companion for the day, and the Don's son, nephew, disappointment. It's unclear. What is clear is that Cesare desperately wants to prove himself to the family. It turns out he has a job for us, which is collection, which I will be riding with him today. Our first stop is a shopkeeper, who's behind on his payments. He tries to act tough in front of his kid, which is adorable. So I do what any responsible adult would do. I calmly draw my firearm and remind him that unpaid debts aren't cute. They're career ending. He pays. The kid learns a valuable lesson about masculinity, finance, and the risks of raising your voice in a criminal economy. I should charge him for my services. Next, we visit the quarry, where the workers have committed the ultimate betrayal, trying to unionize. Naturally, we resolve the conflict by challenging the union leader to a knife fight. It's not exactly legal, but it's extremely traditional. I win, mostly by accident, and also because I fight like someone who's been emotionally repressed since childhood. The workers disperse. The union collapses. Cesare tells me I'm a natural negotiator. I nod, still holding the knife. I'm sent to help Leo, a man who somehow manages to look both paranoid and overconfident at the same time. Apparently the authorities seize some of his gear. Leo insists it's just tools, which is what every criminal says right before handing you a box of grenades. So now I'm sneaking through a government-controlled shipping yard alone, unarmed and dressed like a guy who's either here to fix a boat or blow one up. The job goes surprisingly well. I grab the crates and get out without being arrested, shot, or yelled at, which makes this one of my most successful crimes to date. Leo's thrilled. I'm confused, and the authorities are probably still trying to figure out why half their security team was distracted by a man crouch walking for 20 minutes straight. We visit the last person for the day. He tells me someone stole his water pump, which in most cases wouldn't be my problem, but this is Mafia work. so naturally I'm expected to fix rural plumbing disputes using extreme violence. He says some thieves came in the night, took his pump and ran off. I say nothing, but mentally I add water pump retrieval specialist to my ever-growing criminal resume. We find the thieves hiding up in the hills and decide to let them know that we're here. Diplomacy fails almost instantly, mostly because we never tried it. We unload a generous amount of ammunition and the forest becomes less populated by the second. We recover the pump and dispose of the thieves in the most respectful way we know how, by tossing them down a nearby well. It's symbolic, it's poetic, it's probably a public health issue. So to recap, I threatened a dab, stabbed a union leader, stole from customs, and turned a well into a graveyard. Cesare still hasn't earned the Don's respect, but hey, he didn't die, and in Mafia terms, that's basically a promotion. He's trying. That's more than most people in this life, and he might not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but at least he carries one. I would just like to preface, this was all filmed on live stream, so unfortunately this whole video will have a face cam in the top right corner. So in future, I will be recording both separately. However, if you do like the content, please be sure to like and subscribe, and also follow all my socials.